Let's go. We're burning daylight.
You can't handle the truth.
You get the idea? If I can't teach you one way, I'll teach you another. But I'm gonna get the job done.
This is the Doc Young Chronicles. I am your host, Dr. Matthew A. Young, D.Min. I'm a D.Min. That stands for Doctorate of Ministry. And I'm sorry for the long intro, but if you've done any kind of live recording on social media, Facebook and stuff, it takes a minute for everybody to see that's being aired. So that's why I have a kind of an extra long intro coming into that. There's times when I do this, I'm thinking, golly, I should just hurry up so I can get this going. But anyway, we are very happy to have with us Mrs. Hillary Lambert, teacher here in Washington County School System, and so glad you're part of our podcast. I know that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I really wanted to get with you before the month was out and discuss and talk with you about your experience, what you've been through. But while I'm trying to find, for those who are watching and for those who are listening, I'm in the process of trying to find the live link to send to Facebook so people online can watch while we're talking. So while I'm doing that, Mrs. Lambert, or do you prefer me to call you Hillary? What do you prefer?
You can call me Hillary.
Okay, Hillary. I think I need a shirt that says I'm with her. There you go. All right, Hillary. Where are you from? Are you from this area?
So I was born in Florida, and
Okay.
and I moved here when I was 2. So my husband makes fun of me. He's like, "You're from here."
Okay.
So,
Yeah, if you've been here since you're 2, I
Yeah.
would have to agree with him on that.
Yeah.
So what part of Florida were your family from?
I was born in Winter Haven.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm familiar with that. My grandfather had a place in Walaka, Florida, there on the St. Johns River, and my son's living in Tampa now. So so that's pretty cool. But that's all right. So what made you get into teaching? What was your desire to do that?
I just knew since I was little that I wanted to be a teacher. I had a teacher in 3rd grade. Her name was Miss Whitson, and I just loved her. She had embroidered vests and then the embroidered shoes that I loved so much. And then she came to my house and played a board game with me, and I was like, I love this lady, and I want to be a teacher. So my friend Jordan and I used to, I was an only child, so we would hold her little siblings hostage in the basement and play school. And so just ever since I was little, and now we're both teachers. So
wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. So where'd you go to school at?
I went to Gray, and then I went to Boone.
Okay.
And then went to ETSU.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
I just got my master's degree.
You
online.
Oh, you did get your master's?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Are you thinking about getting your doctorate or anything?
Probably not. That was. I think I'm done with school.
Yeah. I honestly, Brandy, could tell you I had no desire to go to school, much less get my doctorate. And I ended up with 4 degrees, ended up with 2 master's degrees. I didn't want 2 master's degrees. I do a lot of counseling, so when my master's in counseling, when I went to get my doctorate, they said I had to have a master's divinity, so I'd go back. So I ended up getting 2 masters and didn't want 2 masters, but I had to if I wanted to get my doctorate. So trust me, if anybody's done with school, sister, I'm right there with you. So, but hold on one second here. I'm going to try to type this in. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time so everybody on Facebook will know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Hold on here. Okay. But that should do it. So, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and very serious issue. I'm glad that we can come here this afternoon and talk and laugh and joke a little bit. But, I hate that word cancer with a passion. I despise it. My best friend Lance, I went to high school with me, and him were like brothers. And he had bone cancer. And they had to remove his leg below the knee, and then they come back, they had to remove above his knee. And then it just spread, and my grandfather, he died of lung cancer, and so it's just I hate that word. It's like every time as a pastor, we have prayer request sheets here that people sign, and every time you just wouldn't believe the amount of people who are diagnosed with cancer. In fact, we had one man here that usually when it goes to your lymph nodes, that's pretty bad. But it had went to his lymph nodes. It was in his back. It had spread. The doctor sent him to Vanderbilt. Said that they pretty much gave up on him. And he got to Vanderbilt, and you talk about a miracle. Lord healed him tremendously, and he got to Vanderbilt, and there was nothing there. So that is just, you hear stories like that, but then you hear the flip side of that, those who don't survive. And I think that hurts. There are those out there who are not believers, and they get those kind of diagnoses, or a family member gets that diagnosis, and they blame God for that kind of thing. And as a pastor, the only thing I could tell them, with that. But one day, for those who are saved, we won't have to deal with that anymore. But I think a lot of people struggle with that on that spiritual aspect, because it's like, well, that's not fair. But it isn't fair. And it's nothing wrong to question God. When somebody gets diagnosed, like in fact, my best friend Lance, he was like, this is. I had no desire to go in the ministry, but even then he was like, at that time we were young adults, and he was like, why? Why does it have to be me? Why couldn't it be you? He said, I love you, like my brother. Why couldn't it be you or somebody else? And I couldn't give him an answer. And there are no simple answers sometimes, but other than just the fact that we have to know where that suffering comes from and who's the one who can take control over that suffering. But anyway, I didn't mean to preach a sermon here, take up offering, and my wife's here, so get to offering plates. And, but anyway, so tell us your story. How was it discovered by accident, your cancer, or is there a genetic history in your family? Tell us your story.
Well, I found out when I was 19 that I had the BRCA gene. So I was BRCA1 positive.
Wow.
And I found out about that because my mom, she had breast cancer. But she's had it twice now. She had it the first time 21 years ago.
Wow.
And she was 40, and about 4 years before that, her sister had it, and she was 28 when she was diagnosed.
Wow.
And my grandma also had it.
Yeah.
And she was older. She was close to 60 when she had it.
Okay.
But so my grandma had it first.
Yeah.
And she died from it. She was like 61.
Oh.
And then a couple years later, my aunt got diagnosed. And she was 28 when she was diagnosed, and she was dead by the time she was 30.
Oh my gosh.
It was stage 4 when she was diagnosed.
Wow.
And so then 4 years later, my mom got diagnosed.
Gosh.
And they found that whenever she went for her, the gynecologist found it, doing a breast exam, found it then.
Wow.
And so then she was fine, and hers was, I think it was stage 1 the first time.
Yeah.
And she was fine, and she was good to go and everything. But then they came out with all this new information about genetic testing and all that stuff. So with her family history, she was like, I should get tested.
Yeah.
So she got tested, and she had the BRCA1 gene.
Wow.
And which raises your risk of breast and ovarian cancer.
Wow.
So I knew that she had that, and so I just wanted to be proactive.
Sure.
And they like to screen you starting, if you have a family history, 10 years before the youngest person in your family. So my aunt was 28, and I was like, I'm kind of right there.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and found out I had the BRCA gene.
Wow.
And so then they started doing mammograms and then MRIs.
Yeah.
And so, I had my kids, and I breastfed them and everything. So in between all that, they would monitor me and everything. And I was done having kids and everything. So they wanted me to have a preventative mastectomy. Yeah. And I was like, it's such a big surgery, it's an amputation of your body part.
Sure.
I just was kind of, I don't know. And so I was still doing the mammograms and MRIs. And so I had a mammogram right before school started at the end of July, and it was fine. Yeah. Everything was good. And then in January, I had my MRI. They alternated. And so in my MRI, that's when they found it. And it was stage 1, and
Yeah.
it wasn't in my lymph nodes. So
Oh, well, good,
Yeah.
good. Wow. Now,
like most cases.
okay.
But which my doctor's like, because every time I go see her, I'm like, could it have been like some soap that I used or something? Like in your mind, I'm like, what have I done that has like triggered that in my body?
Sure.
So I've just tried to, just like for my own peace of mind,
Yeah.
I've tried to like use products like that don't have all these chemicals and like fragrances in them and stuff, which is like, even for my kids, I'm like, I want to try to help them, you know, like not have to go through that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm like the 3rd or 4th generation. Like my great grandma, she had cancer too. I'm like, I would like to do something to stop it.
Sure.
So, yeah, I like to. I've there's an app called Think Dirty, and then the EWG has an app.
Okay.
And so like I scan all my stuff, and like it's crazy all the things that are in products.
Oh yeah.
And it could have that. I'll never know what happened, but I mean, it could have had something to do with it. Like the body wash I was using is like Dove body wash. It was on a scale of like 1 to 10 was an 8 of how bad it was.
Really?
With the products that are in it. Yeah, and makeup products.
Gosh, and that app's called Think Dirty.
Yeah, Think Dirty.
Okay, yeah.
And then there's another one. It's the EWG Healthy Living app that has you can scan stuff right from your phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I know that there's been concern for a while now in our milk and meats because of the hormones that they put in animals so they can get faster production. If you've on that app, have you come across anything that showed?
The Think Dirty is mainly just like beauty products, like body wash and shampoo and stuff. And then the EWG Healthy Living one, you can scan some food products.
Yeah.
And it'll tell you.
Okay.
But it's like mainly just like that. I think they're trying to get more things, but it's kind of just starting. And some things you'll scan and it'll be like not found or whatever.
Sure.
But some of the, like even just like everything that you use, like the mascara that you use and all the stuff, you could scan it. I mean, it has like the United States does not have like beauty laws that have. It's been a very long time since they've changed them. Like things that are banned in Europe, we still use in the United States.
Really? Well, I didn't realize. I figured we had such strict laws here that we'd probably be worse than Europe and anywhere else. That's amazing.
It's really crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah.
I've just tried to use like better things just to make myself feel better. I'm like, this could really mean nothing, but for my mind, it helps.
Exactly. Did the doctor say anything to do any kind of preventative for your children or anything?
She talked about this thing called epigenetics. Sort of like, I don't know. I've looked into it, and talked a lot about like, kind of like they'll never know what officially like kicks your cancer in, like because you could have this gene and never get cancer.
Wow. And
she was saying, you know, because I have a daughter and a son, and like it could happen to either one of them. But like I told her, I said like when you're going through treatment and everything, it's like you're going every 3 weeks, and I had to have treatment for a whole year because mine was triple positive.
Wow.
So it was hormonal fed and just HER2 like extra protein that makes your cancer like grow faster.
Yeah.
So they I had 6 rounds of chemo, and then I had to have Herceptin for a whole year. So I just finished up this year in March. Yeah. And like I was talking to her, like when you go every 3 weeks, you go and like you're getting this medicine, and then you like you have relationships with the nurses and things, and you know somebody's there, like you get your blood drawn and they're, you know, they check your levels. So like this whole time when I had treatment I felt fine. It's like after I've gotten done with treatment, I've like I'll move the wrong way and I feel it like a sharp pain. I'm like I'm dying, like that's it, you know. It's like I don't have that reassurance from, you know, like having active treatment. And I found other people who like I didn't really know anybody else who was my age that had cancer. So I went like on Instagram, I had found some other people who've had it and stuff. And like we're all kind of the same thing. Like people don't think about
Sure.
like after treatment, like they just expect you to be, oh, you're done, go back to your life, and be fine.
Yeah.
And it's just not the case, because like I still have to take medicine for 5 to 10 years. I still have to go to the doctor right now every 3 months.
Wow.
And then, you get graduated to 6 months, and then a year. And then you think about all that. And then I think, oh my gosh, I have a daughter. Like, I don't ever want her to go through this.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like obsessed about that. And like the last time I went to the doctor, like was sobbing, and she's like, you need to just stop thinking about that. Like you're going to will it to happen. And then I started thinking like, well, I had cancer last year, and then my mom got diagnosed in December of last year also. So we were diagnosed 11 months apart.
Wow.
And I'm like, and then I felt guilty. I'm like, well, she's probably worried to death about me, and she probably triggered herself to have cancer again. It's like, it's just a constant like thinking of like, it's just like constantly thinking about like, but I've tried to really just like been like, I'm like through treatment and everything. I mean, I'm just not a worrier.
Sure.
And I never really was. Like I always thought like before I was diagnosed, like, I know I have this gene, and all these people in my family had cancer. Like I don't want that to happen, and I've thought about having the surgery and everything, and I actually had made my mind up. I was like, I'm going to do this over the summer because it's a big surgery. Sure. And it was diagnosed in January. I'm like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's like, it's just turned me into, I mean, like, I just constantly worry.
Sure. And that's understandable. It's perfectly natural and normal. I mean, that to have that kind of concern, because you probably think like you said, every little pain, every little twinge, is this something else? Is this coming back? Is it, and I could see that definitely playing on your emotions, and it could very easily dive you into depression and worry. And because you have kids, you worry about them too. And one of them, just as you said, and we can't be, I think we have to be careful about that, because as serious as that is, not to minimize that. I mean, that's just imagination. He's talking about, you worry that if you think about it, it's going to happen. It's kind of made me think of Kant, I think, therefore I am kind of thing. You know? But, it is, we nobody knows the number of days we have on this earth, you know, and there are people out there I've spoke with who have no history of cancer, no history in their family, but they live day to day in constant fear of death. I mean, they are terrified of dying. And I've had people tell me, say, how do I get past this? They're just so just consumed. And I'm like, listen, worrying and getting upset about it will not change a thing. If it's your time, I mean, it's just, it's amazing. There are those who have a very short lifespan. There are those who have an extraordinary lifespan. But when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And it amazes me when I think about stuff like people worry, when it's their time, the freak way some people do die. It's just clearly their time. Just a few years ago, well, it's just right down the road here, that a girl was out there sunbathing, and there was a stack of wood, and the wind blew it, and it fell on her, killed her. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, just something that.
Yeah, I mean, I could die tomorrow from something totally
exactly.
unrelated.
And it's kind of like who was it? I can't remember that. It was just I just saw it the other day. It was a rock star. I think it was a rock star. Oh, my mind's went blank. No, it wasn't. I can't remember. He's a historian, I think it was. But anyway, he kept saying that he knew that he would die by a gunshot wound. And so said he was a practical joker. Oh, who was it? My mind went blank. And said he's a practical joker, and that and I forgot what he was known for. But anyway, he's a practical joker. And so one day, I think we saw it. Well, I think you were with me. We saw this. My wife's with me. For those who are wondering who I'm talking to, it was on something we were watching. Said that he's a big practical joker, so they went on a boar hunt with some of his friends, and so he dressed like a boar to scare his friends, and they shot him. Well, the thing of it is, though, he would have lived from that gunshot wound, but at that time period, it took so long for them to get the help that he needed that he ended up dying from that gunshot wound. So, you never know. Worse than again, anybody dressed, you on a hunting trip and dressed like a boar, you're asking for.
Yeah.
But, as a pastor, my heart goes out to you, and I empathize. There's no way I could ever understand what you've been through, unless somebody's been through it themselves. No way anybody can. And all thing I can tell you is I would tell anybody if they come to me and say, no, I've got this, and I'm worried, just like you are, is take it a day at a time. There's something I read, and I actually said this a couple times for the pulpit here recently. There in the Marines, there was a time when sometimes they have to climb this high mountain. and they have all this heavy pack on. They got all this stuff, and if they're at the bottom of the mountain, they look up, they're thinking, "Oh my gosh, it's just overwhelming. There's no way." But the drill instructor tells them, says, you pick out a tree, and you keep your eye on that tree. And when you make it to that tree, you look to the next tree, and then before you know it, you're at the top of the mountain. And that makes a lot of sense. With our lives, day by day, just take that day, live it the best you can, and then when you get through that day, focus on the next day. You see what I'm saying? And that way, because to me, it's not minimizing what you're going through, but it helps take the focus on that pain and that worry, because you're just concentrating. You're not worried about next month, next year, your kid's future. You're just worried and focused on today. And to me, because I'm someone who has to deal with depression, I deal with anxiety, I deal with these kind of things. And of course, when you're married, that makes you crazy too. But I can say that my wife's sitting here. But
and she knows me.
So, but that's all you can do, is take it a day at a time. Because each morning I do a daily devotional, and that's how I end every morning's devotion: is live each day as if it were your last, because you never know what this could be. Yeah. And that's all we can do. But not to get, I don't want to put you out of your comfort zone. And I hope it's okay to ask this, but when you were first diagnosed, what was your initial feeling when you learned that you did have that stage 1? Was you pretty scared, or was you pretty sad, or?
Honestly, I was shocked.
Okay.
Because I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that my aunt, we were the same age.
Oh, okay.
I was 28.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like in the mindset of like, like I'm just so young.
Yeah.
And I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Sure.
And I'll never forget it. I went and had my MRI, and they called me the next day, and the lady that called me, she was like, we've seen something on there, and we need you to come back in. We want to take, look at it, take some more pictures or whatever. And I'm like, in that moment, I just knew. Yeah. I was like, what else would you be seeing? Sure. And I was in the Target parking lot, and I just started just dying, just crying. Well, sure. Yeah. And then I went in, and walked around, and I was like, I don't even care. Like, I'm just crying and walking around Target. Yeah. And so then I went back, and it actually worked out really nicely, because we had snow days. So every day I had a doctor's appointment while I was being diagnosed. Wow. It was like a snow day. Wow. So I had to go back and have ultrasound done on my breast, and then they did biopsies. And then they had a hard time figuring out if it was HER2 positive or not. It came back this unequivocal, so they weren't sure, and then they didn't want to proceed with treatment yet until they figured that out. I had to have a second biopsy. Gosh. And then they finally figured it out, because and I didn't realize too until I had it, it's so different. I realized my mom had it, and everything, but I was 8. I'm not paying attention to that, until I lived it myself. Yeah. But this estrogen, progesterone, and HER2 positive, so it was all 3. So then they had to come up with a plan, and so some people, depends on your stage and everything. And so I had surgery first. I had a double mastectomy. Wow. And that was a rough surgery. It was a long surgery. Oh, gosh, and then you can't move your arms, and you have these drains in, and my husband, he took great care of me. Yeah. And my kids went and stayed at my mom and dad's house, because I couldn't pick them up or anything. Sure. And so for a month, it was a solid month. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even move my hands or anything. Finally got the drains out 2 weeks later, because I was about to lose my mind. I was like, these have got to come out. I'm like, I can't move my arms. Yeah. So once those came out, I was like, I felt so much better. Yeah. Yeah. It was just that 2 weeks of having those in was just rough. Oh, yeah. But my husband, he took great care of me, and it was like I was a newborn. I had to wake up in the middle of the night and take my medicine and do all that. Yeah. And so then they send all your stuff off, and when you're in the surgery, I had this sentinel node biopsy done.
Now what's that now?
So they inject this blue dye into your tumor before your surgery. Oh. So they found the tumor, and then put this needle right in your tumor, and put this blue dye in. Oh gosh. It's very painful. Yeah. So they put that in before your surgery, a couple hours before, and then while you're in surgery, they can tell where the blue dye went, and somehow see if it goes into your lymph nodes and stuff. And so my doctor, she took out some lymph nodes to be sent off for pathology and stuff. Sure. And it wasn't in my lymph nodes. It was contained. But so then it was about a month after my surgery, I started my chemo. And then I had 6 chemo. I took Taxotere, carboplatin, Herceptin, and Perjeta.
Good grief, said that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to have that 6 times, so it was every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I mean, like, having cancer is upsetting. You never know how you're going to take it until it happens to you, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, what was hard for me was, like, I'll never forget, I went and I was talking to my doctor. I was like, so I'm going to lose my hair. And, I mean, like, you just don't feel like yourself, like you're bald. You never really, this is what I said. I was like, I'm never going to say I'm going to have a bad hair day again. Like, I mean, I could wake up and it could look like anything, and I'll be grateful for it because, I mean, I lost my eyebrows. Like, you don't understand, like, you have hair in your nose. Like, I love that hair in my nose because until it was gone, I didn't realize how important it was.
Yeah.
I mean, just that really but like all throughout my chemo, I mean, people at work and people where my kids were going to school at the time were just super nice. Okay. Like, give me gift cards, making food. I mean, I could not do anything. So to have people like donate things to me, it just meant the world. Sure. And honestly, like, people who, like, my friends who came to chemo with me and brought me food, and like my mom and dad, and my husband travels a lot for work, so he attempted to come to one chemo with me, but my port didn't work.
Oh no.
So I had to have a little surgery to get my port fixed, and so he actually never came to any chemos with me, but he feels bad about it.
That's going to be my next question, though. As sometimes we forget about the spouse. How did he take it when he found the news? Was he?
I mean, honestly, he was
devastated.
He was devastated. I mean, it really. I mean, it's the whole family. Like, it's it's not just
everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do anything. Like, every time I had chemo, I never knew what the side effect was going to be. Like, one time, I mean, I was throwing up. Another time, it upset my stomach. I mean, and so, I mean, I was literally just like a sloth laying around. Like, I mean, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take care of my kids. I couldn't even take care of myself or anybody. But luckily, like, my parents are amazing, and my mom, I mean, she was taking care of her house and my house and all my kids and everything. And so, I mean, I was lucky because I know there's some people who don't have that. But I mean, they were just amazing. And like, my husband, he travels for work, so he was gone a lot, and it was kind of hard, but my mom would come and stay with me and help out. But I mean, just the whole, like, seeing your spouse going through that and being just sick all the time. I mean, I'm sure it wears on you.
Yeah, I'm sure I can imagine how helpless he felt. That's one thing when if someone here at the church, whatever, and their significant other is going through something like that, I always want to have prayers for the spouse as well, because most people are, and they should be, focused on the individual who's going through that, but sometimes the spouse is left out. They forget about the pain they're going through, the fear they're going through, and the devastation they're feeling. And so I try to make a special point to kind of pray with them and talk with them too, because that's their world, and it's it's coming in. But something you was talking about earlier with the hair loss and having that double mastectomy, that is such a big part of a woman's life, and so when you talk about that loss, that is a loss. That is a loss to be mourned. I mean, like I said, that is literally a limb being removed from you.
I mean, it is. It's major. I mean, it's and I hadn't really thought about it before, but until I saw somebody else talk about, like, you are amputating a part of your body.
Exactly.
It's a very large part of your body.
It is, yes.
And it was, I mean, that's why I knew that I had this gene, but I didn't want to go through with the surgery, because I'm like, it's kind of, I feel like, it might not happen to me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why do I need to do that? But I mean, obviously I need to do it, there was a reason then. I'm like, now, you have cancer, so you have to have the surgery.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a big decision to try to, like, figure out. Yeah. But I mean, for me, I knew I had that gene, so I knew to be on the lookout for it. But for the majority of people, they don't know. Yeah. So, and too, like, when you go to the doctor, they're like, do your self-breast exam and do it every month. And I honestly, I mean, I never did it. Like, I mean, I do it, oh, I forgot, let me do it, And I mean, it's so important, because my mom was diagnosed for the second time with breast cancer in December of 2018. Wow. And she found it herself. Yeah. Just by doing a self-breast exam. Wow. And so, I mean, I'm like I'm saying, doctors tell you to do it, and like, until you kind of experience it, I'm like, it is important. Yeah. But everybody needs to do it, because honestly, I think it's crazy that that insurance doesn't want to pay for a mammogram until you're 40.
That's crazy. You know, the amount of women that are dying. Is there something? I know she keeps rubbing her nose. Is there something my nose hanging out? No, okay, all right. She keeps going like that. I'm thinking, is there something hanging out of my nose? She's just trying to be polite. Anyway, but you know, that amazes me with the amount of women who die from this daily, yearly, that insurance would be willing to pay for that at any point in time in a woman's life. It don't matter. There's teenage girls who get it. You know, I mean, you know, so I don't understand that fight with insurance companies. That makes literally no sense.
And then they're trying to raise it to like 50 years old.
That's crazy.
And, I mean, I think it's like 1 in 8 people will get breast cancer at some point.
Yeah. Now, do you recommend that should every woman be tested for this gene, or do you think it's something that just happens? Maybe if it's a family history of it, then maybe look for that, or what would you recommend for anybody listening or watching?
For me, like I talked to a genetic counselor, and they had a genetic counselor at the oncology office, like where my mom went, because she was still getting checkups and stuff. And so, just based on our family history, they recommended it. And so as far as like, I don't think it's for like everybody. But you know, if you know you have a strong family history, then definitely reach out to a doctor. Like the genetic counselor that I talked to, she was amazing. She, that's what their job is, to help you and talk to you about stuff like that. And they were really nice, and I mean, definitely, you can ask them about it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it amazed me, like you said, I want to raise that age to 50. And I saw something the other day, I can't remember where I read it at, if it was like on Google Mail or Yahoo Mail or something, where some people were trying to go to the extent to say that women don't even need mammograms, it doesn't make a difference. And I don't believe that. I think that every woman needs to be tested, because look at how many times they waited to 40 and they found it, maybe found it in time, or might find it too late. I don't get that. Why people have that kind of thinking. I really don't.
Well, and I was 28 when I got diagnosed, so I didn't know in person a lot of people who had it younger. So I went to Instagram, because I don't have Facebook. So I went on Instagram and was trying to find other young people who had it, and I had just kind of like talk to people online and stuff, and in similar age, and some people were like 23, 22 who had it.
That's crazy.
And they just and like this one girl, she was, I can't remember how old she was, but she found it herself. She was saying she just like happened to she moved the wrong way and felt a lump. Well, she went to the doctor and they just kind of brushed it off just because she was young.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And so what I've learned from other people is like, you have to be an advocate for yourself. Like if you feel like something's off, then you just keep pushing until somebody listens to you. And I read something yesterday, like it's your right. Like if you want to have a medical test done because you feel like something's off, then you need to do it. Like if your doctor's not listening to you, then find somebody who will.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Because like she went to the doctor and they were like, oh no, it's nothing, just wait 6 months and come back and see us. Well, it was stage 4 when she finally got diagnosed. And if you, not saying in 6 months it might be stage 4.
Sure.
But when you initially, if you feel like something's off and you feel a lump, you need to find somebody who's going to listen to you.
Exactly. And it's tough sometimes to make people listen. And it's tough when tests come back that say, well, you're fine, don't worry about it, because of course this is far from cancer, far from anything you dealt with. It's completely minor compared to what you dealt with. But I recently had surgery on my stomach. But the thing of it is, I kept going in time, my appendix was hurting. Oh, it's your diverticulitis. I was like, it really hurts. I don't think it's my appendix. CT scan, another CT scan. You're fine, it's not your appendix. When they go and do the surgery, my appendix was indeed inflamed and they had to take it. So my point is, it's frustrating, as minor as that is, as important and major as this is, for them to blow these kind of people off and be like, oh, it's no big deal. That's major. That's your life. That you're just screwed around with and saying, oh, it's just go on home. Yeah. And then find out later you have stage 4 cancer. That's just...
Yeah, you have to find somebody who is, and I know there's all kinds of doctors out there. And my doctor, she's amazing. Like she, I don't, thank God I don't have to deal with the stage 4 or anything, but just reading these things that these people, that other doctors just blow people off and not listen to it, just blows my mind.
Sure.
That's your job. You're a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't get that. I really don't. And I've said the fight with the insurance companies. I know for my wife has MS, and for her to get the treatment she needs, it's an uphill battle to get a CT or an MRI or something. It's something that you need.
Yeah.
But they want to find it and make sure that they get all this. I'm thinking, yes, I can only imagine all the people who are lined up to abuse MRIs. You know?
I know,
Come on.
Well,
you
my
know?
doctor, when I first got diagnosed, she wanted a PET scan,
Yeah.
and my insurance denied it and said
That's crazy.
there's not enough reason
That's insane.
why to have one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to show up for a PET scan if I don't want one.
Exactly.
Just like when I go to the doctor, it cracks me up. Like, can I see your ID, please? Like, I'm not going to be showing up here for some chemo if I don't need it.
Yeah, me and the junkies in the alley really want the chemo today, you know.
Like, this is not a good time.
Exactly. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you have to do like anything nuclear or anything? Or
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I just had to have. I had surgery, and then I had my chemo, and I had my Herceptin, which is a targeted therapy drug.
Sure.
And then I finished that, and then I have to be on. It's called anastrozole or something for like 5 to 10 years.
Do you have to be on anything for the rest of your life, or?
No, I think it's just this one medicine. Like right now, I'll just take this one medicine, and it's like something to do with because my cancer was hormonal or something.
Yeah.
But since I had that gene, my doctor recommended having like my ovaries removed.
Sure.
So I had that surgery over the summer.
Wow.
So that there's no hormones.
Yeah. Now does that? Like again, I'm not trying to get too personal. If I ask you something you don't feel comfortable with, just tell me. That's cool. But did that? Or just slap me?
Yeah.
Do you feel like your emotions, because it's hormonal, and with that, did your emotions pretty on a bad roller coaster? Do they have to medicate and help with that or anything?
No, since my cancer was hormone induced, I can't take anything.
Oh.
So I'm like I have hot flashes and like thereafter I had the surgery. Like I had like bad insomnia. I could not fall asleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it just kept me up. Like when you have that surgery and you have your ovaries removed, it's like 36 hours or something that you have hormones left in your body, and then after that you're in just like immediate menopause.
Wow.
So I'm 30 years old and in menopause.
Gosh.
So like my classroom's freezing cold. And I had
Yes, it is.
one of the kids in my class, his mom was like, "Yeah, he says your room's freezing, so he needs a jacket." And I was like, it's because I'm menopausal. I'm freezing. I keep it freezing, and then I have a fan I sit in front of because I'm burning up.
If you're menopausal, no wonder your husband stays on the road a lot. It's probably safer that way.
Yeah.
How fun. Well, we're coming a little bit to a close here. Is there anything that you would recommend for women that are listening that maybe they should be aware of, look for, what they should do?
Because I mean, like me, I'm going to be 40 in like a month and a half. I mean, so I'll have to do and I have a history of breast cancer in my family. So
you definitely need to do a self breast exam. And I know that doctors tell people that all the time, and you just blow it off, but it's so important because if the sooner you can find the cancer and start getting treatment, the better. So if you can find it, like when you go to the doctor for your yearly checkup, they can do a breast exam on you. You do your monthly self breast exams. Like definitely schedule a mammogram because it doesn't hurt. Something so simple that could potentially save your life. Just make sure that you do just the recommended little things. Like even like a mammogram is free now, I think. I mean, it just costs you your time.
Sure.
And it's definitely worth it.
Obviously, I'm a man.
Yeah.
I don't understand these things. Now, men can get breast cancer too. But, and so men need to be aware of that as well, and not to minimize that either. But now, for women, is it always a lump, or could there just be like pain, something uncomfortable?
Like there's different symptoms, like if something like if you're like leaking or like if bleeding or like you see like your skin that's like sinking in. I think some of the symptoms are like if it's hot. If you just simply Google like symptoms of breast cancer, there's I've seen little like charts and pictures that have it on there. And it definitely, if you see anything like that, call your doctor immediately. And like I was saying before, if nobody wants to listen to you, then you need to find a new doctor that will.
Yeah, really. And as a disclaimer, be careful about WebMD because I've had symptoms before, and I've thought I've had everything from leukemia to something syphilis to AIDS. You type in those symptoms of WebMD, you're thinking, "Oh Lord, I'm dead tomorrow."
Yeah, it's terrible.
Exactly. So, but seriously though, like you said, Google it, get with the doctor, find out if there's anything that any woman or man is feeling is not right, and get to a doctor immediately and get something done.
And definitely, like, if you know somebody who has cancer, like any type of cancer,
Yeah.
I mean, just the little things to support them.
Yeah.
Like where my kids went to school, the people who work there, they sent me, and I've never thought of this before, like they had made some meals.
Yeah.
They sent me with like a huge thing of paper plates and like
Awesome.
silverware,
Wow.
gift cards.
Yeah.
And then at work, people brought me, they had a meal train set up.
Sure.
People brought food.
That's awesome.
And it doesn't seem like a lot, but like, you could cook one extra meal and take it to somebody who is going through something. It adds up because, just for me and my whole family, like, the food fed my mom and dad and my kids and everything because, they're taking care of my kids. It was like, just insanity, honestly, during that time. But just little things like that just help so much.
I'm glad you said that because, a lot of people don't think about that. And a lot of people, I know right now those who are non-Christians make fun of us who say thoughts and prayers. And when there's a tragedy, and that's a big thing I'm not going to get into right now. But a lot of people, they're uncomfortable and don't know what to say or do. And so they say thoughts and prayers, but they don't realize, hey, I can help this person. I can take them some food, or I can, like you said, take them some silverware, some plastic forks and spoons, plates, things like that. So I'm glad you said that because those listening after me, I have a friend or a family member, and they've been thinking, well, I wish there's something I could do. I feel so bad for them. Well, right there you go. You said it. This
and gift cards that I got.
Yeah.
I mean, some days I'm out for getting treatment, and I'd take get a gift card and go get food. Like, I mean,
that's awesome.
Just all that stuff was just so nice.
Or somebody come clean your house.
Yeah, somebody come clean. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, because I couldn't get up and clean my house.
Yeah. If you couldn't even move your arms,
no.
That's exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you said that. In fact, I may. When I preach again and do announcements, I may recommend that. Say, if you know somebody out there, to be sure to help them and do those kind of things. So that's something. It's little stuff like that. There's a reason why I like to do these kind of broadcasts because there are things that come out that people don't think about.
Yeah.
And right there is.
I mean, I would have ever thought to give somebody paper plates.
No,
I got a huge stack, and we're like, that's the best idea ever. You don't have to wash anything.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that's how we eat at home.
Yeah.
My wife, this may be the last time I'm heard or seen again. My wife will have me killed. But in closing, may I read a passage of scripture and close in prayer? Would that be okay? Mm-hmm. All right. The reason I want to read this passage of scripture is because hearing that C word, that cancer word, is so scary. And in fact, when there was a time many years ago when a doctor, he thought I might have had testicular cancer. And then they found out I didn't, and so praise God for that. I found out about as quick as he told me, but because I got a call within just an hour after I left or two or something like that. But that little bit of time was just so scary. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking, there's so much I wanted to do. There's so much I wanted to call it. You just feel like it's over. It's it. Mm-hmm. And here you're walking proof of someone who has come through the other side and victorious, and so you're an inspiration to so many people that they can hear that kind of diagnosis and have that kind of fear, but they can hear you and be like, wow, what an inspiration. Maybe I could be like her. So that's why I want to have you on here, because so other women could be like, you know what, if she can do it, then maybe the Lord will bless me and grant me that kind of healing as well. So I want to read this here in Isaiah 41:10. It says, fear thou not, for I am with me. Be not with thee. I'll get out here in a second. That's all about King James, the theeth and the thou. It's not like suffering, thuckatath. Yeah. But for I am with thee, but not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with thy right hand of my righteousness. So one great thing is, no matter what you're going through in this life, we know that God is there. We know Jesus is there to hold our hands, to comfort us. Even though people let you down, society will let you down, doctors let you down, one thing's for sure, we know that we have God who will sustain us, fill us, and take care of us. Even in our darkest moments, we know that God is there. We have something to cling to. And so I can't thank you enough for coming this afternoon and talking, and so that you can, may you never know, just like throwing a rock in a pond and that ripple effect, you never know what you said today may have an effect on a great many people that you may not be aware of, because this goes on YouTube, this is on a podcast all around the world. Some young girl, whatever age women may be, who are hearing you today, you may give them the extra strength and courage they needed to go forward. So thank you. But let me close in prayer, if that's okay. Therefore, Lord, we thank you, we love you, and we praise you. And Lord, thank you so much for Mrs. Lambert to be able to come here and share her story today. Thank you, Lord, for her healing. And Lord, I pray that you will put many blessings and around her and her family. Give them strength, give them comfort, give them a hedge of protection about them. Lord, keep her husband safe as he's traveling, keep her safe when she's at home. And Lord, I just pray that if there's anyone watching today that doesn't know you, let them pray this prayer. Dear God, forgive me of all my sins. Jesus, I know you died on the cross for me. I know you rose from the grave for me. Come into my heart and save me. Fill me with the Holy Spirit. And Lord, for who is watching or may not be watching or listening, Lord, for all those out there who are dealing and battling with cancer, give them strength, give them peace. Let your presence be known and felt, and lead and watch over, protect them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Well, Mrs. Lambert, I cannot thank you enough for coming and sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am.